Chapter 49. What do you mean by bones? Fuji Zijing rushed up from downstairs, saw this scene, frowned slightly, and came to Fan Xian's ear to say something. Fan Xian then realized that the other party was the only son of Guiyoji, the Minister of Rites, and now the palace compiler, the thinly veiled and talented Guobaoquan. After seeing Fan Ruoro, the gloomy-looking young man revealed a look in his eyes that was extremely disgusting to Fan Xian and said, "I thought whose son is so overbearing, but it turns out to be a child of the family of Sinan Bo." Sinan Bo Fan Jian to the holy favor, but after all, the official position is only a minister title, the 4th grade only. Moreover, the children of ordinary officials and eunuchs had no idea of the strength of the Fan family in hiding. Fan Xian did not want to make a big deal out of it. After all, it is Fan Xija firsthand, and in any case, the other side of the first to speak of the one who seems to be a fan of the Red Mansion. But when he heard this kind of salty words of provocation, he also could not help but wrinkle his nose. This Guobaoquan father's official position is very high. He is the palace compiler, and the crown prince friendship, so raised a cocky and unselfish nature. A look at the rumors of the cold as frost Fan Ruoro, there are some evil fire, sneered. Really ridiculous, the district fan house and the people, dare to use the power of the people, really degrading. He to the literati since the name, brush sound open hand folding fan, but there are few points of dashing sharp strength. Next to the several scribes are anxious, think of offending the Sinanbo, do not know how to deal with, at this time, once heard Guobaoquan so say, hasten to have to agree, rush to the other party to buckle a good power to deceive people hat, completely unaware of what they have done wrong place. Only his own way who triggered the incident instead became silent. Sven? Seeing that the other party was actually being pushy with his words, with no sign of reprieve, Fan Xian heard these 2 words and finally couldn't help but return with a few hints of mockery. A reader can't broaden his talent without learning, and he can't become a scholar without ambition. Look at you so-called talented people, you don't study in the academy in broad daylight, but you run to this stone house to drink and enjoy yourselves. Where's your ambition? Sven, and where? This table, in addition to Guobaoquan, the rest are great talent of the scholars. Once heard this face changed color. A scholar scolded, don't think that you can speak so recklessly because of your Fan family's power. Fan Xian frowned slightly, originally feeling that his side was not so righteous, but seeing the faces of these scholars, he couldn't help but feel disgusted and said, you all said that the Fan family is bullying people with their power, but I don't dare to defend myself. On the contrary, you are sitting at this table, and the son of the dynasty minister of wine, but really do not fear power, noble self-preservation, really admire. This gentle words and the meaning, again understand, but the building and the crowd quiet down, and Guobaoquan sitting at a table that several people angry, is ready to refute 1 or 2, Guobaoquan is the fanship 2 shakes, ready to open the lesson of this young man. But Fan Xian's temperament is actually a bit odd. He is gentle on the surface, but once upset, but also like to make others upset, and do not like to give each other back or talk back to the room, and make sure that a hit. So he did not wait for the son of the secretary to open his mouth. Pointing to Guobaoquan hand, Fan said with a smile, the first time to the capital, see all the sages play all day long, skinny as skin and bones, but also to take a fan, is not the so-called wind bone? That this kind of bones, under the million dare not learn. Guobaoquan in and out of the imperial city, and the prince of friendship, were to receive this kind of idle gas, anger extremely angry, will be in the hands of the fan back, knocked hard on the table, angry body trembling, unable to speak. After the martial rule of Qing dynasty, especially important culture style, young scholar all over Kyoto up and down, this stone residence restaurant, at least there are 70% to 80% of the readers, which do not have to take the fan of the bad habits. At this time, listening to Fan Xian's words about style and bone, not only did his own way's table burst into a fury, even the rest of the people on the 3rd floor stood up. In fact, Fan Xian has always been very uncomfortable with the so-called talented people, and occasionally had a feeling that, coupled with his second life as a human being, he naturally acted freely and unrestrained, so he blurted it out. However, at this time, seeing the unusual atmosphere in the restaurant, he realized that he seemed to have committed the wrath of the people, but there was nothing to be afraid of, and with a slight smile, he clasped his fists around and saluted. I do not know why. See this young man full of bright sunny smile, originally some gas of the scholars, feel the gas on the elimination of a large part. However, Guobaoquan's anger did not subside, gritted his teeth, and threw his fan on the table, sending out a signal to strike. The civilization is light but is the mouth work, and this confrontation on both sides, but happened to be the high official big family children, so there is some dangerous atmosphere began to float in the air. Fuji Zijing coldly stared at the Guo family's guarding expert, ready to strike at any time to protect his master. With two popping sounds, the two silhouettes overlapped in one place. Fist winds rose in all directions, causing the unarmed scholars in the building to gasp in shock. The fights between the powerful nobles of Kyoto had always been a boring game of underlings guarding to the death while their masters watched from the sidelines, and very few people would bring the fire down on themselves. But Fan Xian is very different from those powerful and noble children. When Fuji Zijing and Guo family's expert guards fight in a place, he silently hide in front, and the sky raining moves, looking for a fleeting gap, straight a fist reached over. After a crunching sound, the fierce fight that was expected by the crowd came to an end. Fan Xian withdrew his right hand and smiled as he stood still, as if he hadn't moved. The Guo clan's expert had crouched to the ground, his nose broken by the punch, blood flowing out and tears streaming from his eyes. Fan Xian was satisfied with the effect of this punch. Teacher Fei had taught him right, breaking that spot. This kind of pain was something that even a 9th-level expert couldn't endure. Guobaoquan saw that his family's most capable expert guard had been beaten into a puppy-like crouch on the ground by a single punch, and was shocked, pointing at Fan Xian and saying in a trembling voice, "You actually used the crowd to bully the few." Fan Xian glanced at him and shook his head, feeling a bit baffled, thinking that for things like fighting, of course you have to do it together, and that he wasn't a boring chivalrous man mixing with the Jianghu. He took Ruo's hand behind him and walked downstairs with a straight face, without even thinking about his earlier actions, which were completely out of line with certain agreed-upon rules in this world.